Sorry for the two-parter here, but to continue where I last left off. So, this guy, while I was in the middle of the street going through Akihabara, he comes at me from the side and he kind of does this around my face, okay? Not just like this, but like this from the other side. It was like a really weird hand position for him to be grabbing my face in. He grabs my face, gets a little bit of his finger in my mouth, and then he takes off down the street. It's like this guy who's like between 50 and 60 years old, and he's then yelling at me, waving his hand at me as he's running down the street backwards into the crowd in front of me, and he's like really, really happy. And my friend said that he had then taken his finger and then put it in his mouth afterward, the one that he like slipped in my mouth. It was really weird. I actually didn't personally see it, and I kept saying, you guys are lying to me. You guys have been fibbing me this whole time. And each one of them saying, no, we saw this clearly happen. I didn't see it at the time because I had ripped my face away to not, because there was this hand in my face, you know? So I told this story in another video before. But in any case, that was like completely out of the blue, unwarranted, uncalled for. I wasn't doing anything other than walking and talking with my friends down the street. I'm positive I didn't do anything offensive to this guy, and I think the guy was just a complete nut job. I didn't ever run into anybody who was drunk, and never really ran into anybody really pissed off. I even went through like Kabuki-cho, which is known for being like, ooh, this is where Yakuza hang out, you better watch yourself down there. Then really nothing happened. In fact, I don't think Yakuza really want to mess with foreigners so much because they don't really want to get mixed up in foreign affairs so much. They don't want like some other country on their asses. So the only thing that I did at any point that someone told me was kind of offensive was my classmates and I would always take this frisbee out to this park, and there was this homeless guy who like lived in that park, and we were playing frisbee all the time, and then one of our Korean classmates joined us, and of course the Japanese guy addressed, finally, after several weeks of us playing there, addressed the Korean classmate of ours because he looked Asian, I guess, and so he thought he could talk to him. But then he tells the Korean classmates, you guys need to leave this park. This is where I live. You play frisbee in my home every day. Oh my god, I was playing frisbee in your home this whole time? This isn't your home. But what am I gonna do, argue with a Japanese guy? I really can't. I'm the foreigner. And even if this guy doesn't have a home and I'm sitting here paying for a dormitory in Tokyo, that guy's probably automatically going to win because I'm in an incredibly homogenous society. Basically, I think my advice would be don't argue with anybody, and if you come into any confrontations, walk away. That night I actually found that the police were pretty helpful. I admit, I lost my passport, and I went to the police box, the Koban, and they were really helpful in helping me file a police report, and the police officer even said, good luck. He was kind of cute. It was awesome. But police officers will, in general, be good to you if you treat them with respect. Just treat people with respect and walk away from any confrontations. Otherwise, I don't even think you'll run into any. What else have we got here? So, number 4... do you know of any tours or vacation websites that I should check out before I go so far? So far, I was looking up Travelocity and Priceline for the best prices. I don't know if that $1,300 a week hotel is still priced the same. So a long time ago, this was like 4 or 5 years ago, I was looking into tours. I actually found Pop Japan Travel, which has really interesting tours if you're going for theme-based tours. Honestly, I personally wouldn't go on them. When I initially found them, they went on much longer tours that went to places more than just Tokyo. lately they seem to only go to Tokyo, and if they do branch out, it's kind of narrow actually, because the tours are either anime themed. They now have yaoi themed tours, which is kind of odd, but that's okay. And samurai themed tours. Basically, you have to understand that when you go into a tour such as that one, you're getting in with a bunch of otaku, and I don't know how much you necessarily want to do that. If you're going with a bunch of other otaku, and you're really otaku, I suppose that's okay. But, and you can even look this up, there's 2 different news videos out of Japan from Pop Japan Travel, where they were followed around by 2 different news groups at one point. I have a buddy of mine named Rick who's actually in that tour group, who's in those news articles, and they followed him around, and it was more of like, these are really silly, goofy Americans. They came over here for anime. That's a really funny thing to come to Japan for. And you could just tell from these news stories that they treated them like, not badly and not rudely, but like a joke, really. I mean, that might be kind of a harsh way to put it, maybe. Maybe that's not the best way to put it, but you could tell that it was a human interest story. It was for humor and not necessarily for, because they thought we were really cool and really interesting. That's really the only tour that I'm personally familiar with. They're interesting themed tours, but I wouldn't necessarily go on them myself. And number 5, anything you'd like to tell me, any mistakes you made while over there that I should avoid. Got my passport, I know enough Japanese to get by, and so on. I mentioned my mistake with the dude in the park. Let's see. I just bought a Japan Rail Pass for this trip, which is going to turn out to be great for me because I'm going across the whole country just about, and it covers all of the JR rail lines and buses and ferries. And so anything that's owned by JR, this ticket covers it, and that includes Shinkansen bullet train rides, which is going to be absolutely fantastic. And actually, only foreigners or Japanese natives who are living in another country can purchase these tickets. Otherwise, you're spending a ton of money on travel arrangements. So I would say if you get the chance, look up the Japan Rail Pass and get yourself one of those. Definitely do that. Other than that, hey cat, knock it off, I'm busy. Shh. Other than that, I think you've heard my previous mistakes once already. I'm actually running out of time on this video too. I didn't expect to have a 20-minute long session here in front of the camera. I'll elaborate more if I get more questions. Feel free to ask, of course, or to respond, or anything you guys have been doing. Cat! I love you, but stop it. Okay, so the cat needs my attention, it would seem. Thank you guys again for just paying any sort of attention at all. You don't have to watch, and I would just disappear, I'm sure. But thank you all the same for all of that. And I'll be, of course, getting another anime news editorial up this Wednesday. Wednesday's actually when I leave. I don't know whether it'll be real news or it'll just be me saying, hey, I'm not going to be doing a video for the next couple of weeks. But you'll see more content from me as time goes on. And I'm going to have, actually, I hope and believe, a new Translation Terrors video up while I'm gone. I hope to get that finished over this next week so that it's ready to go while I'm gone. Other than that, take care of you guys, and I'll be updating you guys later. See you.